Hello and welcome to Charge Talk 4630. I'm Stacy and thank you for joining us today. If this is your first time here, I'm happy you joined us and it will be greatly if you decided to join our community. Thank you to everyone that subscribed and continue to help us grow. And for the ones that haven't, I would appreciate it before you exit this podcast that you do so. This way you'll be notified whenever we go live or release the latest content. You can also hear us wherever you get your podcasts. And last, please go to your browser and check out more Chargers content from some great writers along with myself on stormcloud.blog, which is run by my friend and one of our own, Cal D. Now, before I get into this, I just want to say thank you to two subscribers that came on board after my last podcast. They reached out to me on X yesterday. We messaged each other in a private chat for almost an hour. They said they're always looking for Chargers content. They found me and enjoyed the podcast, and they had a lot of other football questions pertaining to other teams. I answered what I could, but they told me they thought I was directly involved with getting information from teams in the NFL. So although I accepted that compliment, and I also wish it was true, I just love football. It's my number one sport. I study the Chargers and do a lot of research so that I know what I'm talking about and try to always report facts when I'm on here. So let me just say this. I'm not Adam Schefter. I'm not Ian Rappaport. I'm not trying to be anyone but myself. And obviously, I'm not surrounded by many Charger fans. But I'm a retired man that's happily married for 26 years. I'm a proud pop of 3 beautiful grandkids. I'm also an independent journalist and freelance writer by diploma and created this platform just so that I can interact and share my ideas and my opinions alone about the team I love with the Charger fans around the world. And for all of you who take time out of your schedule to join me here and subscribe to this podcast, I want you to know that none of it is going by unnoticed or unappreciated. And I want to give a big shout out and a big thank you to you all. So let's get into it. As we all know, the Chargers put Asante Samuel Jr. on the IR after reports were released that he injured his shoulder during practice on Thursday. Also, it was reported that starting cornerback Christian Fulton strained his hamstring in the third quarter of Sunday's game with the Denver Broncos. He was already questionable with the knee injury before the start of Sunday's game against Denver. You had backup Ja'Sia Taylor, who was inactive for the second straight game because of some type of leg injury. And Dean Leonard was reported also to suffer a hamstring injury in Sunday's game. That's another big loss because Leonard, drafted in the 7th round of the 2022 draft out of Mississippi, has proved to be great value for the Chargers. He's in his 3rd season, and he's seen his role increase each year. He's dynamic on special teams. He started a few games last year, but mainly used as a rotational piece to give guys in the secondary a break. And in preseason, we saw him play in a lot of formations designed by Jesse Minter. The Chargers started rookies Cam Hart and Tarheeb Still, who was both picked in last year's draft in the 5th round, and they both did an exceptional job considering they were thrown in as first-time starters. So with the Chargers desperately needing depth at the cornerback position with injuries piling up, they signed veteran free agent Eli Apple on Monday. Apple was picked 10th overall by the New York Giants in the 2016 draft out of Mississippi. Signing with the Chargers make this the 6th team he's been a part of since coming into the league. He was with the Dolphins last season and appeared in 10 games with 4 starts and had a total of 46 tackles, an interception, and 9 passes defense. He also played with the Cincinnati Bengals the 2 years prior to signing with the Dolphins. The other 2 teams he's played on are the Saints and the Panthers. Now, according to reports, Eli will start on the practice squad, but that might be a short stay because the Chargers played most of Sunday's game without their top 3 corners. Now, some of the things I'm going to point out is that in his career, he's never made a Pro Bowl. He's played in 98 games with 82 starts and 8 seasons with 6 interceptions and 60 passes defended and 381 tackles. Now, from those numbers, you probably would say, well, that's not too bad for an experienced cornerback. I will say the numbers, although okay, but they're not great considering he was selected in the 1st round with the 10th overall pick. In his last 3 seasons, he's given up chunks of yardage to receivers that most of the time were not considered top tier. He gave up too many touchdowns and he got burnt more than you would like to see from a starting corner. While in my opinion, Eli has never lived up to that 10th overall pick, but he's still a quality veteran presence. And with all the injuries, can either start now or back up one of the rookies, whether it's Taheeb Steele or Cam Hart. But that decision will be made by Jesse Minter, who, in my opinion, is making a case that he's not only a great defensive coordinator, but has a great defensive mind, has a great understanding of how to attack the weakness of an offense, and has to be a great teacher of the game of defense, being that this same defensive team pretty much was on the bottom of every defensive stat last year. So with Joe Ortiz doing the best he can to bring in players that can be seen as low risk and high reward while having little money to spend because of the cap situation, I applaud him on doing everything he possibly can to keep this team competitive until they can get healthier. So if anyone can bring something good out of Eli Apple that can lead to him becoming a contributor to the success we've already seen from this defense, it's Jesse Minter. Now, as far as the receivers go, it's a lot of chatter about wanting the Chargers to make a big trade for a receiver. Well, we understand, as I stated earlier, about the cap situation that Joe Ortiz inherited upon taking over this organization. With that being said, we're not even going to mention Davante Adams. And some wanted Amari Cooper. I'm raising my hand because I was one of those people who think Amari Cooper would have excelled in his offense under Justin Herbert and who can be his safety net, in particular on third down situations. I also believe players like Deontay Johnson and DeAndre Hopkins will also be great low risk and high reward players, especially D-Hop, that can come in and give this offense from a receiver perspective a big boost. I've talked to a lot of people that would like to see Mike Williams return to the Chargers. Mike went from a highly productive player and at one point was a top 10 receiver in this league to becoming lost in the Jets offensive system and now was looked at as a scapegoat for Aaron Rodgers and the Jets shortcomings. We know Mike and Justin has chemistry. He's a big body receiver, experienced with big playmaking ability. I'm aware, of course, that he also has an injury history as well, but I would not give up draft picks or trade for Mike Williams. However, after seeing the Jets could not figure out a way to get the production that was seen on film from Mike Williams, also after the criticism and blame Mike took for allegedly running the wrong route, according to Aaron Rodgers, on that interception to end the game, along with the acquisition of Davante Adams, all reports are saying the Jets are looking to trade Mike Williams. Now, what if no team is willing to make that trade? I believe they will cut or release Mike or whatever way they want to word it. And at that point, and only under those circumstances, I will be willing to bring Mike Williams back, not as a starter, but have him to accept the reduced role where he can help out on third downs and be a red zone threat. The only reason many of us Charger fans was looking for another receiver to add was because up until the last game against Denver, there was no one stepping up. This team struggled to convert third downs. The receivers struggled to get separation, with the exception of Lat McConkey. DJ Chalk has still not played a game yet due to injuries. And Joshua Palmer, who's the most experienced receiver on the roster, too often couldn't escape the injury bug himself. And when he played, he just wasn't producing. But the bye week looks like it gave the coaches time to figure some things out on offense. And we saw everyone on offense, even after getting injured while in the game, fight through pain and adversity and started coming through. And for the first time, we got to see a glimpse of what the vision with regards to this balanced attack looks like. Receivers were blocking better. They were getting separation, and some was wide open for Herbert. It appears everyone's route running was more crisp and sharper. They were getting yards after the catch, and Quentin Johnston was getting involved with screens and double reverses until, unfortunately, he injured his ankle early in the game. The offense for the first time looked balanced and fluid. Now they need to clean up the disappearing act as far as one good half and one bad half. But we did see progress. And all of this was done with arguably the best defense in the National Football League in the Denver Broncos. So I think that's saying a lot about what this team can be. And what this coaching staff has done with changing the mentality of this team cannot be underestimated. It's not happening as fast as we would like, but we can see it's getting there. And moving forward, if that's what we can look forward to seeing in the coming weeks, I think we should all be elated because we all as Charger fans deserve it. We are 3-2, and we're moving on to Arizona. Well, that will do it for this episode, and thanks for joining us here on Chargers Talk 4630. Please don't forget to log on to stormcloud.blog. If you're looking for more Chargers content, they are excellent. They have excellent writers. There's excellent posts, and I myself also write frequently for stormcloud.blog. And stormcloud.blog is run by my partner and friend, Kyle D. I'll be back at the end of this week along with Kyle to discuss the next game as the Chargers travel to Arizona to face the Cardinals. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that now before exiting this podcast. And as always, be good, be safe, be well. Enjoy the rest of your week. And the Chargers are 3-2 in second place in the division and still improving. Peace and bolt up.